Hello, does anyone hear me?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Hi, Jamar.
Hey everyone,
Are we on?
yeah, we're unmuted. Please keep yourself on mute when we talk, and we're gonna be unmuting people to get their chance to speak.
We good? All right, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining us on this Zoom call, taking the time out of your weekend. Thank you to the different groups that are joining us too. I know we have a couple different organizations and people coming, and family and friends and all of that. So thank you all seriously for being here. Before we get started, we just want to start off with a moment of silence. Just everyone can collect their thoughts or reflect, meditate, pray, whatever you want to do, just out of respect for all of those that have been victims of racial injustice and victims of police brutality as well. So we're just going to start off with a moment of silence. All right, thank you. I know we got busy lives and a lot of people got work in the morning and things like that, so we're just going to go ahead and get started.
We all know why we're here right now on this call. Racial injustice and police brutality are not new topics in 2020, but it's crazy because it seems like each new video that comes out and each new story that comes out is just worse than the last. We've all seen the recent ones, which has come up, George Floyd specifically, and like they all have the same theme. It's all an unarmed Black civilian in the country. And we're not only here because of the videos that come out, we're here because of the riots, the protests, the cries from help that have resulted all as a result from this and the movement that's been going on. So not only here, but across the whole world. Tonight, we're coming together and we come to you together as brothers with this Zoom conversation. Let's talk.
Yeah, so this is meant, guys, for just to be a conversation for us all to have the opportunity to express our raw and true emotions about what's going on. So whether it's anger, whether it's depression, sadness, confusion, whatever you're feeling, we want you guys to share it. We want everyone to share it. And after, I want us all to come together and just list ways in which we can actually work together and have a positive impact on our communities and on the world. If you know different petitions to sign, if you know places to volunteer, places to donate, whatever the case is, at the end, I definitely want us to discuss different ways that we can get together. We have some questions to help guide the conversation, but honestly, I'm hoping that we don't even have to use them. Besides the first one, I just want it to be an open, uncensored conversation. The only thing that we do ask is that just be respectful as far as time when you guys are speaking, just so that everyone gets the opportunity to speak and if they want to, and share whatever they want to share.
Yes, so what we're gonna do and how we're gonna monitor the conversation and keep order is I sent it in the chat, but I'll also say it again. If you wanna speak, you wanna respond to a question that is going on, just send your first name in a group chat, and we have someone else like writing it down in the order at which people send it. So just send your name and you'll be sure to like we'll call on you when it's your turn to talk, and we'll unmute you. Well, if you want to turn your camera on, you can also do that. But yeah, just please be respectful of time. Please be respectful of other people, because this is an issue, but this is also a very touchy subject for a lot of us.
Right.
So yeah, you want to start?
Yeah. Before we start, does anyone have any questions? So we're going to start off with a question, and then whoever wants to speak first, just say it in the chat, and we'll go based off the order that they appear in the chat, like Leo said. So our first question to start off this discussion is, how did you feel watching the George Floyd murder, and what was your immediate reaction?
You could take a few seconds, a few minutes to think of an answer.
Sagan, go ahead.
Wait, hold on. I gotta mute her.
I'll redo that.
You hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
So when I first saw the video, I was like, oh, here we go again. I feel like every year we face an injustice. Okay, correction. It's always happening, but to get to the whole protest, to get to the riots, I feel like it happens every year. Of course, I was upset, but it's a matter of, I'm not a person to always constantly focus on the problem. I focus on the solution. So what exactly are we going to do as a Black community to change this, to get the reparations we need and everything like that? When I first saw the video, I was like, I don't think this man know exactly what he started. Now, this is from before, like, the whole, oh, they seem to have known each other because he worked at a nightclub and all the other information came out. From looking at the video, it looked like at first, it looked like it had nothing to do with race. It was just excessive force that led to his demise. And the fact that I'm a police officer, I'm going to do whatever it takes to stand my ground. And I kept studying the video, reading the signs, because I know I favor psychology a lot, and trying to see if race played a role in it, because as a Black community, we are very quick to hop on white, Black, police, unarmed Black man. So I want to keep things rational as possible, and I want to give people the benefit of the doubt if necessary. So to me personally, it didn't look like a race thing in the beginning. It just looks like just complete police brutality, had nothing to do with race. It's just something that went too far. And it's something that went too far for no reason, where it could have been the simple reasoning of just moving your knee. And I think as a Black community, I don't think we see we see color before we see what he was being arrested for. Like, I don't think it really bothers us, oh, it was about, him paying what a counterfeit bill or anything like that. I don't think none of us was looking at that. The first thing we saw was a white man who murdered a Black man, and we want justice for it. Whatever was beforehand, it didn't really bother us. But if you just take the time to look at the video, it's like this man basically just followed the steps of what happens to us all the time. And from then, that's when people started getting dirt on him. So then that's when it started turning to, okay, this could be a potential race thing, potentially. There's still information out there, but other than that, I am upset, but I'm not as upset because, like I said, I can't keep focusing on the problem, because it's going to affect me as well. Because I need to start thinking of things. I need to start making plans. I need to start thinking of solutions to be able to fight these injustices. You see what I'm saying? So in my head, okay, yeah, this happened, but how do we stop it from happening? What do we need to do as a Black community, and what does the world need to do to fix the people within it?
Thanks, Sagan. Just to ask you a question, if you don't mind. That's a very interesting response, and I appreciate it for sure. I want to ask you, do you feel as though the same actions would have taken place if George Floyd weren't a Black man, if you're white?
If it was a white man, the answer would have been no. But like I said, as a black community, for me personally, I think we're a very sensitive race, and we are quick to look at things in one direction rather than taking into account the other contingencies. So, and it's very unfair how if it were a white man, he wouldn't have gotten the same thing. Now, maybe if it was like a redneck or something like that, then okay, maybe. But a regular white man, the answer is no. So when it came to the black man, and that's the crazy thing about it is because we really don't know the whole story. We just hear what the news tells us, what the news wants to put out, because unfortunately, drama generates money. So people, the news and what people say, they're just going to tell us to get us riled up. And when we get riled up, that's when we protest. That's when we want to riot. That's when we do all these other things. Where there's never a group of black people that say, hey, let's sit down, let's breathe, let's be calm about the situation and figure out what can we do. And as we can see, when we went through the protests and the riots, guess what every family says? This is not what I wanted, because things have taken it too far and people come in with the wrong intentions thinking that they're helping the cause when they're not. They're valuing the cause. So unfortunately, if it was a white man, the answer is no. But that's just looking at it in that one direction of just race. If I had the whole story, then okay. But I really don't have the whole story because I'm being told what I want to, what they think I want to hear. But that's not what I want to hear.
Thank you, Sagan. That was a very interesting response, one that I don't think a lot of us have heard. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Miriam?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My reaction was kind of different from Sagan's. Honestly, everybody's been saying that they're angry and all of that, but for me, I was just kind of like done with everything because I feel like when a video like that comes out, everybody's just watching it and looking at it and talking about it, and everybody's so desensitized. And I feel like the issue is we're watching somebody die. Like, that's what it is. And I was looking at an article of his daughter the other day, and she's like 6 or something like that. And it's so sad that this video is going to be online for her to watch as she grows up. I mean, like, that's her father. Like, so when I heard all of that, I was just kind of like, well, and mind you, this was when all of the Ahmaud and Brianna things were already happening. So there was already a lot going on. So I was just like, oh, wow, I'm tired of hearing about these things. And then this happens in a very public, very viral way. And it all happens so fast. And it got to the point where it's just like, I'm tired. I can't take any more of this. And it's like, I'm not angry. It's just, you imagine like beating somebody down for so long. It's just they can't take any more of it. So it's just like I can't even properly react to it in a way. So I think it's just everybody's at home, everybody's seeing it, and everybody's being forced to talk about it. So I think that's part of the reason it also blew up so quickly, because we're not doing anything. We have nothing else to do, and everybody's chiming in and giving their opinions. And at the end of the day, I can't watch something like that as somebody who's going into a health field. Like, somebody tells you they can't breathe, they feel pain, like, we're taught to like listen to those things. If somebody says something like that, you believe them and you find out what's going on and you treat it. And so for me, like, I just couldn't sit down and watch something like that as somebody who's going into the health field. Like, I couldn't do it. And my reaction is just beyond anger at this point. I can't even feel angry. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I think one of the saddest things is how, just like you said, I mean, it's it's heartbreaking to think that his little daughter, and in 2020, everything's so socially viral. Everything's all over the place. It's all over social media. It's all over YouTube. And that's a real person. That's her father. It's heartbreaking. Yeah.
All right. Tasha, did you want to say anything?
Um, yeah. So, I'm very angry. So I'll try to phrase this as best as I can. I typed out something. I don't know how to pronounce the person's name who spoke first. So, I'll try to be respectful. Come again?
Sagan.
Oh, okay, Sagan. But I don't know. I just typed out something because I don't want to say the wrong words, so I'll just read it. So I admire your ability to compartmentalize, but I really don't want to dismiss the outcries of the Black community. Black people's sensitivity is warranted, it is valued, and there are generations of Black people here to share the testament that would negate your claim. Black people have always come together, go back to the civil rights movement, any type of slave rebellion, like even look at the slave revolt that happened in Haiti. Like they literally were able to become the first free Black nation. So Black people have always come together. They've always, after like years and years and years of being, devalued, they've always come together. They've always found solutions, some that have worked out and some that have been utterly dismissed. So I just can't, digest you saying things like that. And then I have some more. And then about the video of George Floyd being murdered like that, there, to me, whatever crime happened that was being arrested for, whatever story there is, for me, there's nothing, absolutely nothing more to see, because like whatever story there was automatically dismissed, as that officer so nonchalantly placed his knee on that man's neck and repeatedly heard him say, I can't breathe, and stuff like that. So whatever story there needed to be gathered about what he did for him to be arrested or stuff like that is automatically dismissed, because you will literally look at like, white people who have committed crimes of domestic and mass terrorism who are brought to wherever they need to be brought, the jailhouse, whatever psych ward they need to be brought, and they're giving meals, they're taken in peacefully, they're not abused, they're not beaten. So the story of what occurred or what came next really didn't matter as soon as you saw that video and that man literally plead till his last breath to just breathe. So that's all I have to say.
Sagan, you can go ahead and respond.
You are very much entitled to your own opinion, and I can tell you are still emotional about the situation. As for me, I once again like to continue to keep a clear mind, because I need to think. I cannot let my emotions get the best of me. If I let my emotions get the best of me, I cannot go anywhere with that. So, from what you were saying, it's completely understandable. If I offended you, I apologize, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And you're right. Anything that happened before the situation, it's completely disregarded. And it's just as all he had to do was move his knee. You are absolutely right. But the issue still remains here. You give me history. You give me what we did from years ago, but I'm talking about the now. What are we going to do now? Are you going to continuously sit and just be upset, or are you going to do something about it? Are you going to continuously, what can I say? I don't know, just be angry. I refuse to sit around and be angry when I can simply just go do something about it. I refuse. I don't know about any of you, but I have a plan, a very extensive career plan that's going to better me and my people. I will be creating something for my Black community. So that's what I meant by being solution focused. I look at things, I get it, it happened, but what can I do now? I cannot sit around and just think about, oh, this happened again? Really? Come on. I can't sit and just fester in my own emotions because I cannot move like that. I need to be able to move. I need to be able to do something about the situation. And I think that's what kind of stops a lot of us in our Black community. We let our emotions get the best of us, and it kind of clouds our vision. I need to see some stuff being done. So when the whole George Floyd incident happened, I've seen countless things happen where it came from, new laws being, and it's not being passed, but like in the works. A lot of attorneys getting involved, a lot of officers getting involved, a lot of people in the Black community who are starting to see value in whatever career choice they have, that they're using it in efforts to better the Black community and say, hey, this is enough. Now, it is fine for you to be upset. It is completely fine. But I need you to use that frustration to move the Black community into a direction where we do not have to go through this anymore. Rather than just putting it towards this one problem that we are constantly having, I need to see results. I need to know that when my brother goes outside, he is not going to have the same issues as the other Black men. And we can sit here and go be emotional together, go back and forth about the injustices that we go through. Yes, we go through, we're going to keep going through it until we come together as a Black community and figure out what we need to do to put an end to this. And we have plenty allies. Now, I am skeptical of some because some of them come with the wrong intentions, but we do have plenty allies that will back us up because they understand. You see what I'm saying? Now, like I said, I didn't mean to offend you. That's just from my perspective, and you're absolutely right. Whatever happened beforehand, it completely gets negated and all that other stuff. But I think what I say stands true because I'm making the choice of not being upset. I'm making the I'm making the choice to say, you know what, you're right. This is enough. Miriam, you're right. This is enough. I'm pretty much fed up with this because this is getting a little too out of hand for me. So as a Black woman, what can I do? I cannot sit around and constantly tweet this, Facebook that, this, that, and the third. I want to come up with some solutions. And if I could get my other Black sisters and brothers to join me, that would be a plus. If I could get other people who are in higher power that can make those changes, whether they be in the law enforcement, Supreme Court, any of that, we need to think of solutions that will come together as one. And I don't want this whole Zoom meeting to be a bunch of people to just vent. I can't sit here and vent with you. I need solutions. I need to get the problem fixed. And that's what I expect for this Zoom meeting to be. That we come together as a group of people, throw out some ideas. Once we finish getting whatever we want off our chest, that's fine. But I can't sit here and believe that we're just going to sit here and just mope and be frustrated. Okay, use that frustration, use that same energy. Because I refuse, for example, there are people who like to come talk to me, but yet you're flipping burgers, but you're going to tell me what I need to do because of your frustration. You're going to tell me no, I'm not going to listen to someone that flips burgers because you're going to go back and you're going to go flip your burgers. What I'm going to go do, I'm going to go think of some things that's going to help my Black people, the Black men, the Black women, everyone in the Black community. Because like Miriam said, and like you say, this is very much frustrating. And I'm not going to use that frustration towards any other race but the white race. It's simple as that.
Thank you, Sagan. And yeah, we definitely want to, like I said at the beginning, towards the end of this, we definitely want to use that energy, like you said, towards coming up with plans, coming up with solutions, ways to move forward. Tasha, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I think my response to that entire, I don't know what that was, but I think trying to be quiet, but my response to that is in whatever statement you just made, it's like we're literally talking about how you felt in the moments that you saw this video, and you continuously dismiss the emotions of, like not even Black people, just the people who watched that video and felt something. Like there is power in like feeling whatever it is in the moment, and like feeling and experiencing what's happening. And just I'll turn my video on, but just because like you want to move towards solutions, like we're all looking for solutions. We're not, you know, trying to just sit here. We're like, this is very sensitive. Someone was murdered. We literally watched someone die. So I would, like, I don't even know if it's advice at this point, but I'd advise you to be cautious of the feelings that you're dismissing by just saying, oh, I don't want to be angry or stuff like that, or I make the choice, I make the blah blah. Like, yes, you as a person can make a choice, you know, to, you know, eat a sandwich or blah blah. But when we are talking about like systemic racism, systemic oppression, your individual choices really get lost in the system because you don't have necessarily a voice. There are things already in place to prevent you from like being an autonomous, you know, functioning person, like any, like from being autonomous, unlike the people who are privileged. So yes, you can have like a 50-step plan, but please don't approach Black people and tell them, you know, like, oh, you're sensitive or you're being angry. I don't have time for anger, when we're, you know, trying to work towards solutions. Like, there's no unity in that. There's no acknowledgement in that. Before, you can't just drag people to solutions without acknowledging the anger that is present, and the anger that is most definitely warranted, the anger that is most definitely validated. So that's what I have to say to that. And my main point of that is that we live in a system. Thank you.
And you are very much entitled to that. But that's my choice. My choice. And I will give you your time to express however you feel. I will give that to you if that's what you want. But if we're going to have a conversation, let it be known that I cannot sit forever with you with that. That's all I'm saying. You are absolutely right about every point you said. But like I said, it's one thing to express yourself and fester in your emotions, because when you do that, you not what are you going to do after that? At that point, it's like a risk you're taking. Like, after you've expressed how you felt and all that other stuff, a lot of people end up getting discouraged. A lot of people are saying, you know what, they just call it quits. And what I'm saying is, while you vent, while you express yourself, use that same energy and start making changes, is what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you both. A lot of other people want to speak, so I believe Bacon is next. Bacon,
What's going on, Jamar?
how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Can everybody hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, awesome. And good evening, everybody, too. I'm going to keep everything I'll have to say pretty short, and I'll try to stay specific to your question. But I did want to mention something that I found both between Sagan and Tasha's comments. Sagan, on a lot of different levels, I do agree with you. Tasha mentioned something too that was very important. People sometimes have the aptitude to put things a different way, view it a different way, or decompartmentalize things in a different way for it to work with them, for them. And in a lot of senses too, I felt the exact same way as you did. As soon as I came out of, I could say, a state of grief or denial, everything in my heart was about, all right, what's the next thing? What are actionable goals we can create in our community to move forward and make sure things like this don't occur again? But with all that being said, with that flood of energy and action and excitement and a willingness to go forward with solutionable items, there are stages of grief that we have to go through, and that's exactly what it is. For a Black community, that it seems like on sometimes a daily basis, or every other day we look in the news and we see somebody that looks just like us that has died, that is suffering a death that maybe not someone in your family, that may not be a personal friend, that maybe not even someone you ever knew, but it's like dying yourself over and over and over again because you have somebody that looks exactly like you, probably in a situation that you may or may have not been in, and they died and you could have been there. So you're constantly going through the 7 stages of grief. And also something I wanted to follow that up with really quick. When you think about the stages of grief, you have shock, you have denial, you have anger, bargaining, depression, testing, and then finally acceptance on how you can move forward through this trauma. And I feel like, from your perspective mainly, and from a lot of different perspectives, and something that I've even seen over and over again that's bothered me, it becomes annoying, or it can become a lot. It can become very much when you're constantly seeing people online have to go through these stages of grief in front of you. And sometimes just the sheer amount of people that constantly have to go through it because everybody has to grieve in order to get to this point of where we want action, it can become a lot. So that's all I'm going to say about your guys' comments. I'm glad that you guys did have that exchange. Uh, for me, when I first found out about the killing of George Floyd at the hands of a police officer, I went through a good little period of, I want to say shock. I don't want to say numbness. I just want to say shock to the point where I didn't want to speak to anybody. I didn't want to return messages back. I didn't want to return work emails back. I didn't even want to speak to those that were in my house because I was having a hard time getting through it. And what makes it a lot worse for me is the fact that I know I've been in situations where, don't get me wrong, I've had a lot more positive experiences with police officers than I've had negative, but those negative ones were very impactful. And the fact that some of my closest and best friends have gone through situations where it could have easily ended up with them being shot or seriously hurt or even, God forbid, dead, deceased. Uh, every time you see someone that looks like you dying from causes that may have been similar to what something you or your friends have gone through, it hurts a little bit because it feels like it can be you. So there was definitely that for me. I'm sorry, I just saw your comment in the chat. You said you wanted to comment on something. I hate to move forward and go over the point that you wanted to make.
No, you could finish. I'll ask you after.
Okay. So there was definitely a long period of shock, but something that is just who I am and where I can really meet you on. After I had that mental fog for a couple of days, I'm thinking in my mind, okay, it's time for me to come up with solutions, goals, action plan. Let's pull resources together. Let's get involved and let's figure out how we can do something to affect positive change. And that's where I really found myself trying to hit the ground, thinking of tactics and ways we can get local leaders to hold themselves accountable and also provide clarity on police brutality. I don't even want to say police brutality because it goes beyond that. It's police killings. But yeah, so after that mental fog, it was just a period in which I'm not in now, where I my feet are on the ground. I want action.
Thanks, Bacon. Sagan, we want to give everyone the chance to speak as well. Chloe has been wanting to speak for a while, so there's 2 Chloes though. Chloe Wallach.
Right there.
Chloe? Can't hear you, Chloe. Is there a way we can mute her?
Yeah, she's unmuted.
Okay, Chloe's not working, so we'll go to Chloe Zambrano, and then we'll come back to you, Chloe Wallach. So, Chloe Zambrano.
Hi everyone. I hope everyone's having a good night. So yes, I'm Chloe, and I just want to say that as Bacon was saying, I think the world kind of went into this mental type of fog, and so many emotions were like brought up to the surface, and it was hard to it was really hard to manage. And I'm not even part of the Black community, and it touched me in certain ways. And the way the video felt me, I didn't even watch the whole video because I couldn't watch it all. It's just kind of hard not to come across it these days, or at least this past week. But like Sagan was saying, solutions is always the way to change. So that's kind of the way that I like to look at situations as well. Of course, after all the emotions are dealt with, there was this quote that Monique Coleman said. She's the girl from High School Musical. She said that you can't heal the world until you heal yourself. So I think that's really important to move forward with, because if you're still experiencing like anger or sadness or frustration or confusion, it's really hard to get yourself out of that mental fog. And we kind of went on that mental fog together as a community all at once within certain days, on top of that coronavirus stuff going on. So it was definitely something that the world, I don't think, has ever felt all at once, at least since it's been a while, if it has. But I just wanted to say that, at least me not being part of the Black community, I found on the other side of it, I like to say that it's definitely helped a lot of us grow and learn in so many different ways. I, for one, have learned a lot, and I love seeing other people's perspectives, and I love learning from others, and I love seeing how I can help. And I think that like these types of conversations are just really important, just to kind of like help us bring each other together. And it's just really important to keep an open mind during these times, because like I said, everyone's going to have like so many different types of opinions, and like so many new facts have been coming out, like systemic racism. I didn't really know what the definition of that was. And like even like the history of the police in general, and how this country was built on. It's just a lot of learning and a lot of reading and a lot of watching series and videos and all that kind of stuff that I think is the good that came out of all of this, as traumatic as the video was. And of course, as traumatic as many several cases have been, of course, but like there's been these pictures saying like the tip of the iceberg, like it listed all these things that have been going on, and then at the very top it said George Floyd. And I think we all just kind of went into this whole, I don't even know what to call it. It was just like, I like what Bacon used, mental fog, because it was kind of like I for one just didn't know where to start or where to go. But everyone's entitled to their opinion, of course, and everyone's feelings are valid.
All right.
We could try Chloe Wallach again, and then Sagan, and then Benson. All right, Chloe, sorry, can't hear you.
Benson.
So Sagan and then Benson.
Oh. She's muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Going to what Bacon said about the stages of grief and everything like that, I was like, that's ironic, because I like to study grief and loss and crisis management and stuff like that. Exactly why I like the whole idea of being solution focused and just getting out of turmoil. So we say the stages of grief. I wanted to ask Bacon, I'm like, this happens all the time. So does the stages of grief line up with the injustices happening, or for every injustice, boom, stage of grief? All right, another injustice, boom, new stage of grief. Like, you see what I'm saying? So going to what Miriam said, because this constantly always happens, you're frustrated at this point. So it's like, how many injustices do we have to face to, you know, forget the stages of grief, forget the frustration, boom. What do we need to start thinking of some things, because this is, like I said, this is too much. And yes, going back to, I forgot her name, the other girl that I was speaking with, I'm not here to completely dismiss anyone's emotions or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with venting. There's nothing wrong with expressing yourself. That's completely fine. and having to be in any of those stages of grief is completely fine. But this is something that constantly happens. To me personally, is the stage of grief a thing I should harp on? Or should I, you know what, hop out of that funk and start putting myself to work? And to go with what Chloe said, thank you, appreciate for what you learned and everything like that, and to know that you are part of the team. A lot of the times, like your emotions are like, oh my God, emotions are something that are very tricky. And if you don't know what to do with those emotions, you won't be able to grow. Okay, correction. If the emotions, depending on what you're feeling, it can stop you. And it sucks because every time we have an injustice, it's like it's used to attack the Black community and oppress us even more. We are fighting not just white, it's a whole organization we're fighting against. I'm sorry if I'm busting anyone's bubble, but we're fighting a whole organization. It's not just individuals. This is a whole team of people who are very smart and intellectual, and they have a bigger plan. And I want us to start making up our own plan. It's like a battle. We need to have a battle plan. I'm ready to be battle ready. So the whole idea is, once we come up with this plan, let's start initiating the plan. But we shouldn't let our emotions get the best of us, because it's going to hinder what we got going on. And it's bad enough that when you see the news, it's purposely done to oppress us. It's purposely done to keep us angry, to keep us frustrated, to keep us depressed, to keep us from doing what we need to do. And I'm tired of it. Every time I see a unjustly killing, I'm like, it's like, white man, do you want me to keep being upset so I can make crazy decisions, or to be depressed and be upset about being Black and being upset with my other Black people and just turning on one another? It's purposely done. If you not have studied it, or if you have not seen it, and I'm not trying to speak on as if I'm a woke person, because I'm not, because the woke people today, they far left. Me personally, it's like you sit down, you take the time, you read, you understand, okay, once you internalize it and comprehend it, okay, boom. But it's like, it's used, like I feel like my emotions are being used against me. I feel like they're using it as a weapon. They're constantly giving me something to be upset about, and I don't want to be upset anymore. I want to be calm. I want to think clearly. And for example, when someone gets upset, your cortisol levels go up, chemical imbalances start moving around, everything like that. You become irrational. I don't want to be irrational. I want to be rational. Because if that fog, if my brain is all foggy, I can't come up with things to get me out of the problems that I'm going through, or the solutions that I'm going through.
Thanks, Sagan. I don't know that we could ever completely push the stages of death to this, or stages of grief to the side, and I don't think that's what you're implying at all, but we definitely have to take action as well. Benson, and then Baseline.
Hello, I'll be brief in what I'm saying, but I think I understand what you're saying when you're saying they're weaponizing your own grief and your own emotions against you. And I feel that as the people, creating a plan and creating something that we should be doing, as the idea that we're trying to push into the legislation, and using the emotional support of the people is what's best for pushing that legislation. Like, if we see the political uprisings of the past, we've seen let's take MLK's marches. In those marches, the people were brutalized. It was intentionally put on the media. People were sensitized at the moment, and then people realized that something's up. So we pushed for legislation at that moment, a clear list of ideals and things that we want in order. And I believe Minneapolis, when they,
Benson.
I believe there was a video circulating around recently in which the mayor came up and said he would not be defunding the police, something that these people are trying to push for. Ideas like that at this election time, at this period of time, people are still riled up and aware of what's going on. As we create more awareness to it, we can use that so that we have more backing in polls, more backing in votes, so that legislation changes so that stuff like this does not happen again. And I'm sorry, I'm feeling as well. Like I feel push to do something. As Bacon said, we have this emotional rush right now to get something done. People are asking, what can they do to help? Push them to the polls. Push them to the polls. A clear list of legislation, a clear list of people who are supporting these ideas and will push these ideas in Congress and in our government. My audio is bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can you try to, I don't know, mute yourself and then unmute yourself or something? It's been breaking up. I was trying to get
Have I been coherent at all in anything I said?
Yeah, you are now. Yeah. The middle part, but not much else.
Like most of what you said is coming through, but some of it was choppy.
I'll try moving to a different area, but come back to me, all right?
Okay, just send your name again.
Aislinn.
Aislinn?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool, thank you. Thank you guys all for sharing. Everyone who has shared, by the way. But yeah, I just wanted to share quickly a little bit like what I'm feeling. When I first saw that, I was kind of just like, fuck. I kind of like, I could believe it was the sad thing. And then I was just like, wow, like, all right, we clearly need to do something about this. Obviously it was all blowing up. And so then I was like, wow, this clearly happened for a reason. And I believe that like his death was just a catalyst for us to just all come together and just like we're doing right now in a community like this and just use our voices. And we all know it's wrong. We have known it's wrong for years. Like this has been going on. It's like, it's not a secret, but we have turned a blind eye to it. I think a lot of us. And so, yeah, right now I think that's for me to just really like take action and just like realize all the wrong that has been done. And yeah, so I know we all view it in a different way, but we all view it as wrong. So I think like right now the most important thing is for like us to just come together and be there for each other and like hold space for each other like we're doing. And yeah, so just think we should just keep talking about it and keep the momentum going. So thank you guys.
Thanks, Aislinn. We're going to have Chloe go ahead and speak lastly, and then we're going to transition the conversation from our reactions and our feelings to ways that we can move forward and things that we can do. Chloe, go ahead.
Alrighty, I was just gonna say something kind of quick. Sagan was saying, how the system was built to like use your emotions as a weapon. Unfortunately, chaos is what drives the media. It's what drives attention. It's what drives money. Not just in this particular type of situation, but for like almost anything. Like we always say how like CNN and all these like news give us fake news, or they only show us like the bad and negative parts, because unfortunately that's what the eye catches the best. So it's really important for us as a people to kind of just not just, that's why they always say don't watch the news, like not to rely 100% on the news. And I think something like this, with something as big as George Floyd, so many resources have popped out in so many types of different outlets that I think it's just really important for all of us to just kind of take in as much as we can and stay away from the news, because we already knows how the news kind of works. And then something else that I wanted to say was I saw this post on Instagram that basically said like, when it's something about like how a nobody can make a difference, because now that's everybody. So like, for example, for voting, I, for one, personally didn't really believe in voting. I always voted, but I didn't really believe my vote count, just because I'm like, I'm only one person. What is this going to change? But now that you see, like, this whole movement has shown that everyone's taking a stance, you actually see the representation of the people. It's not just everyone behind the screens. You see people coming out and doing their thing. It like really brings out the numbers, and it's like it becomes real, basically. So now you basically realize, like, oh well, I'm doing that too. I'm doing the same thing. I'm protesting. I'm donating. I'm doing all these different things, just like hundreds and thousands and millions of other people are across the world. So if we all keep going like this, then that one vote will count, because everyone's going to be thinking and doing the same type of thing. So I think that this movement has really helped us, at least it helped me realize that, yes, you're just one person, but you, with a bunch of others on your side, can make a difference.
Yeah, 100%. And that was the perfect response in a lot of ways. I feel like this, as far as the timing of it, was kind of don't want to use the term perfect storm for something as terrible as this, but the fact that coronavirus is going on, the fact that a lot of places are in quarantine, so people are home, people are on social media, they really don't, a lot of people are working remotely, a lot of people aren't in school's closed, so people are at their house taking everything in, and I think that's part of the reason that the response has been so strong. I do want to transition. Somebody mentioned earlier, I forgot who, said that the fact is, and it's true, we're not just against a white person or a single police department, it's systemic. Racism is systemic, and it's well established in America, not only currently, but in the just the development of the country overall. So I want to pose the question, is it possible? Is it possible to end systemic racism, and how can we do that? Whoever would like to respond, please. Andy?
Hey everyone, my name is Andy. I was writing down as we were having the talk. I want to say everyone, thank you for giving your not opinions but your views and stuff. Unfortunately, everything that has been going on, personally, it hurts just to see it. I will never fully understand the hurt and the pain that many of you go through, and it's sick to see people murdered almost all the time on the news and on social media, because at some point we're gonna get so desensitized it's not gonna you know hurt anymore, and it's sickening. To the question you posed on how can we end systemic racism, as someone who's worked with children and has been around children, and I'm pretty sure other people have younger siblings or have worked with children, it starts with the education system. um, I wrote here, like, number one, it needs more funding. I think there's little funding into teachers and to resources that could potentially open people's minds into the different cultures that we have, not only worldwide but in America, to bring inclusivity. Another thing I put is teaching about cultures and backgrounds and understanding where people come from, and because a lot of things that kids grow up with around the house and around their friends ends up shaping them as they get older, and unfortunately sometimes that sticks, and then that's just how they are. And we see that with a lot of the older populace of racism that we see, that all their negativity that gets put across, and it's disgusting. um Another thing I put is, don't shield children. I know kids shouldn't be seeing certain content, they shouldn't hear certain things, but they should be given like a spoon of reality, in the sense that, for example, if a kid sees, how do I say this? I'll give an example. I'll give an example from, let's say, during the time of segregation. If there was a white man walking with his son, and then he sees, and the kid's never been in school for whatever reason, and he sees that there's an all black school, and then there's an all white school, and he asks his dad, and his dad can give him, I don't know what answer the father would give personally. the kid's going to stick that with him. And then he's not going to understand who those people are. He's just going to understand I'm not supposed to be with them. And it's sad because even today, you see children in, after school activities or in sports that there's a divide, and it's either economically and it's unfortunately by race. I played on a basketball team in high school there. It was 50-50, and quite honestly, it was split. It was completely split on who hung out with who. And honestly, it was very disgusting. Um, Another thing that should be brought up in terms of long term that should end systemic racism is police reform. And I'm not just saying that because that's been on the news. It's obvious we need a better policing system. Through some of the videos I have seen about systemic racism, the police were put in place to kind of enforce that. And so I have the redlining in terms of housing and educate and like the funding for our educational system. So it's all tying into that. There, and I saw something today on TikTok, out of all places. There should be units within law enforcement for different issues. When it comes to sexual abuse and domestic violence, there should be a complete unit directed towards that. There is no reason why we should have an everyday cop go handle a situation he probably doesn't know how to handle it because it's his first time dealing with that when he's just been arresting robbers and arresting just people who were drunk on the street driving all that and pulling people over for tickets. um and then the other thing that should be enforced is an extensive background. And as soon as there has been one problem, not two, not three, not 18 that we've seen with these other police officers that have had these records and have had these backgrounds of doing such acts like what we've seen with George Floyd and that police officer, I think he had 17 reprimands. 17. In the business world, from my understanding, and I have spoken with my father, it takes 3 to get fired. And a cop had 17 and he killed a man. There's no reason why, after one, that person is still a police officer. Send him to the back of the office, let him do paperwork. He should not be dealing with the populace. And then the last thing I have that could fix the long term is just inclusivity in the workplace, because I'm sure everyone has seen it or have experienced. I've seen it. I haven't personally experienced it, but people in the workplace should obviously understand who they work with and know whether what they're saying, whether it's like in a common conversation, if it's going to hurt someone or not. And then that's all I have for that. So, and then short term wise, which is not short term, it's more of an intermediate end, is to vote. That's all I have to say. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Andy. You made some powerful points, especially about education. There's a quote: "Racism isn't inherent; it's taught." So you don't get born racist. You don't get born and think the darker someone's pigment is, the less worth that they have as a human being. So education is extremely important. In the chat room, there was something shared by Miriam. Thank you, Miriam, for sharing that. So if you guys want to check that out as well, we have that platform that you guys can sign on and support with that as well. So we're going to, just to remind everyone again, we don't want to limit other people from speaking. So we definitely want to just keep that in mind in terms of the time of our responses. We're going to go from, let's see the order here. What is it? Sagan to Chloe,
Andrew, and Benson.
So Sagan.
I want to say I completely agree with what Andres said. Education. I mean, you can't go wrong with education because that's how racists educate their children. Education. You teach them. That's how it works. So, and with that, we need to educate the Black community as well. And I was just talking to my friend about this because it's like don't get me wrong, I do respect Black history and everything that we've done, from learning about slavery and getting our freedom and all that stuff. But I was saying, have you noticed that there's always a movie about Black history and basically the stuff that we went through? And I was like, but that's more of a high number compared to the ones of, you know, the justices that we've done. And I know we have done bigger and better things that deserve the knowledge. But also, like Chloe said, a lot of the times things generate more money. So when it comes to education, for me growing up, I've always been told this world is not meant for Black people. I could have taken that and ran and said, okay, then I'm just going to settle for what society has given me for being a Black woman. But instead, I took what I've been told and turned it into some type of growth, as in extending my education, going for my goals, getting that career, being in a position where I can make change. So it all goes with perspective. And when it comes to education, we do have to be mindful, because we don't want to discourage anyone in the Black community once we educate them. Because, for example, with 9 times out of 10 for an athlete, well, a lot of these kids get told they're to be an athlete, they run with it, but they never get told the option of being a doctor or a lawyer or anything else. So with education and even with voting, and I run to a lot of people who are now saying, I'm not going to vote, I'm not going to do this, that, and the third, it's not going to work. Yes, it does. Even if you have people on the ballot, they're all not going to be the same. I'd rather have someone that's bad than worse. And then eventually we start getting people who are better than the bad. And that's how we're going to grow. And that's how we're finally going to get that freedom that we need, that sense of relief that we need. And it just bothers me because a lot of people don't value education and a lot of people don't value voting. Well, reason being is, once again, social media, what people get, what the information that gets put out, is used to discourage us. Like, for example, me personally, I wasn't going to get a PhD, but now I'm going to get it. And the thing is, I'm scared to get a PhD because of what it takes to get one. And same thing with, like, when you graduate high school, going to college, you have all these requirements, and it's scary. It might be scary for a Black child because they might not get that scholarship. They might not get into that school. It's just the idea of being rejected. So we need to educate not just the other ethnicities and the other races, but our Black kids as well, to let them know that it is okay. And a lot of the times we constantly keep, it's not feeding the ego, but we keep feeding their emotions that, oh my gosh, like you're not gonna go anywhere. And half of the time it's not even coming from our Black people. It's coming from the other people who are in charge. Obviously don't want us to go get a bachelor's, to go get a master's, to go get that PhD or anything like that, because there's not enough room for us. But as a Black community, we need to start making some room. So we need to educate ourselves. We need to go vote. We need to start holding these mayors, these governors, the people, the police department accountable. If you look at it, a lot of the times people are placed in certain situations, people of government, to keep control, to make sure that no one steps out of line. That's why you have the gentrification. That's why you have the redlining. That's why you have all of these things to keep in control. But it's put out there that it's to help. It's to clean up the community. It's to make the world a better place, to make America great again. So it all starts with education, but at the same time, we have to be on the same accord when it comes to education, because we can run into the issue of different perspectives.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sagan. And you're right. Education is power at the end of the day. And they don't want us to have that education because they don't want us to have the power. And I think one of the most important points you made was about voting, because I can't tell you how many times I've heard from different people, like going back to the last presidential election, which, by the way, as a side note, all voting is important. Local voting, in a lot of ways can actually affect you more than the presidential election. But I digress. A lot of people were saying, oh, Hillary's not a candidate, Trump's not a good candidate, so I'm just not going to vote. No, just like you said, I would rather have bad than worse, right? There's never going to be a perfect candidate. There's never going to be, you don't get to the level of running for the president of the United States. You don't get to that level without having some sort of dirt in your resume or some sort of dirt in your past, something that they can pull out you. There's never going to be a perfect candidate. So voting is important. And I think not voting is giving into the system and not exercising that power, because that's one of the powers that we do have as humans, or as Black people, even though we're not valued as humans a lot of the time. A comment that Tasha made in the chat was that Black people are the most educated group of people in the United States, and that's a fact. I saw that, Black women, I'm sorry, and I saw that on social media, and I actually did some research, and it's true, but they're far from the highest paid group of people as well. So we need to exercise our education. We need to exercise our opportunities and demand more opportunities and work towards being able to level up ourselves as Black men and Black women in America. Chloe was next, and then Andrew, and then Benson. So Chloe.
Hello again. I hope I'm not I just feel bad that I'm talking so much. So I, like everyone else, basically, I was going to say for systemic racism, a long-term solution to that is going to be education. Something as simple as having different type of skin color Barbie dolls or dolls in general in the classroom, or something as simple as reading diverse books about different types of cultures and different types of people. Something as simple as that I think can really make a big change, and at-home learning as well. So it's going to take teachers and also parents themselves to teach their kids, so that way the child gets, more of a diverse type of education. And to go along with that, which is systemic racism, goes with redlining, which are basically sections of neighborhoods or towns, I think, in a city that are blocked off, and they've been set up in ways since long time ago. So it's going to take education. It's also going to take restructuring our neighborhoods, kind of, because we have zone schools. So some of us don't get to choose unless you have a connection somewhere. You don't get to choose what school you get to go to. So it's going to take so that's why, the F schools are the ones in bad neighborhoods, and then the A schools are the one in richer neighborhoods. So it's going to take for the education to actually be 100% where it should be. It should already be this way, but it's not. But the way that it should be is that it's going to have diverse children from diverse communities, and first the communities have to change, or the system overall about the whole entire zoning thing has to change too. So that's just what I wanted to say, was it's going to take the different type of neighborhoods to change, so that way the schools, whichever they're zoned in, is also going to be as diverse as the neighborhoods. And then overall, it'll be a diverse community, both at home and in school.
Thank you. Who else?
I think I want to say something.
I'll say something. Andrew, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all for voicing your own thoughts and your opinions. And Chloe, don't feel bad for talking too much. This is what we're all here for. One of the things that I wanted to say, and it was kind of to piggyback off of what Andres said earlier, is that yes, it does start with education, but it also majority of why people think differently and just how racism is that something most of the time just starts off at home. Just how people are raised, how they're brought up, and initially what's the word? I can't think of it. Okay, going back to what Chloe said, is that I feel like one of the ways that will actually help systemic racism to get rid of it is to have more visual representation of diverse cultures in our community. So being able, especially, and I know it works for children as well, having the opportunity to work at Carroll City Middle, majority of kids strive, to do better if they see people of their color succeed as well. I feel like if we were to have more of that, we might see a significant change towards that end.
Thanks, Drew. And you're so right. I think Chloe was making the point about, even if you look at something as so simple as kids at younger ages, they're playing with dolls, and every single doll that they're playing with is white with straight hair. Or they're watching a video, and every single video they're watching, it's all white people, and then that one black person just there, just for a show. I mean, things like that got to change. We need to be more inclusive. We need to be more diverse. I want to read a comment that Miriam shared in the chat. She said, "My 2 cents. Increase the education requirements for cops, the bachelor's degree perhaps, teaching about psychology, empathy, and humanity, frequent psych evaluations," which I think is very important, reprimanding excessive force, and making cops more integral to their community. Then she added that voting is great, but America needs a new system, things like gerrymandering, changing poll stations right before elections, changing requirements to specifically alienate minorities, and so on and so forth. So, Benson?
Yeah, Benson.
Benson?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. You
All
sound
right. So I really like what you said when both Chloe and Andrew were speaking on the fact that educating our kids is important to create a future in which these children are not enforcing a racially fueled environment in which there's an us and a them situation. But we also needed a situation for today, because the children that we are fostering to help tomorrow, that's a 40+ year plan. We have years where today we can't allow more and more people to be killed day by day. And for us to try to fix it as quick as possible, it has to be from the head of the problem itself. And I think that problem comes in just with our prison system and how the American people make billions of dollars off slavery that's been legalized by the 13th Amendment. If we can demonetize the prison system, then we have no incentive for business to have more people put into prisons. So we have a monetary decrease of, how do I say this? I'm sorry. That's all over now. But if there's no money being fueled by prisoners, even though they are going to try to justify slavery by saying that, oh, these people are contributing to society, or these people are somehow giving back, if there's no monetary gain from putting people into prison, then they're going to have to find another way to do so. They're going to have to find another way to bolster the economy. And that will send them to educate more people. They'd have to find another way, So if we don't have the mass of putting people into, Black people and people of color into prisons, then our police system will have a less incentive to have that money. And defunding police is another way. But you can't keep fighting systems every time we see it. That's something I heard from Sagan in different words. He said after every killing we see, every brutalization of human beings we see, we can't just emotionally respond just to that case. We have to fight it at its root. So I don't have all my thoughts collected, but thank you for allowing me to speak my current thoughts. And as this conversation continues, I'd like to contribute.
Thanks, Benson. We have a lot of people sending things in the chat, so I just want to encourage you guys to look in the chat room. They're sending a lot of different resources. They're sending a lot of different ideas and things of that nature, and a documentary as well on Netflix. So be sure to check out the chat room throughout the conversation as well as we're wrapping up here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best thing we could do right now. We can all bounce ideas off each other and work together. Like we can all have different ways of getting there, but I feel like at the end of the day, we all have the same goal at the end. We all want to get to the same place. So if everybody, yeah.
Benson, are you trying to say something?
Yeah, may I hop back in real quick? I wanted to add that that when we were voting in our legislation, when we were trying to emotionally fuel stuff like this, trying to find a way to have more people fight for the cause, which will decrease the systematic racism, we need to use the emotion against people. Because there's no case that America will abolish its own 13th Amendment. It's too profitable. So we need a way for people to be emotionally involved. And what I was trying to say earlier is that as Minneapolis, as they presented their video in which they showed that their mayor was not supporting them, that he didn't believe in defunding police. I think this is a perfect storm of what people need to be doing current day. We have to voice our opinion, voice what we want done, a clear list of what we want done, and then have our politicians, as you said, bad but not worse. We have to have those politicians who are willing to support that idea and weaponizing our voice constantly. So that's the end of my thoughts.
Thank you.
Thanks, Benson. Vanderson, going to you. Chloe, if you don't mind, can you send the link in your bio in the chat as well? It's a link with a whole bunch of different things, guys, different petitions, places to volunteer, how to protest, voting, and education means as well. So it's a link with a lot of different things. Chloe, if you don't mind to send that. Vanderson.
How you doing, Jamar? Can everybody hear me fine?
Hello? Appreciate you being on. Yep, we can hear you. Appreciate you.
Okay. I appreciate everyone for sharing their opinions, and as everyone's sharing what's going on, I myself during this current situation, I found it like very hard to even watch the videos or to just sit through this and then just watch everything happening. And it's like at the worst convenient time also. You have a pandemic in place, and then you have all this injustice. And then your question was, do we believe that systematic racism will end? Personally, I think it's not something that's going to take a year or two or even three to just end like that, but it's something that's probably going to take longer. But I see the response from people, banding up together, everyone trying to like find resources, donate, and using their platforms. And one of the points I wanted to bring up is education is one thing, it's a big thing. And then another thing is professionalism and like seriousness within people, because I don't know if you notice, like nowadays it's like social media is completely like bombarded everyone, and everyone's like into jokes and into like having fun or making fun of every single thing that happens. Corona happens, people make fun. You even see people making fun of the current situation that's going on, and you try to avoid all of that. And teaching kids and instilling into kids proper and right education, and teaching them about the good things that our people have done, not just showing the negative light, not just exposing them to the movies where it's all about slavery and all the bad things that we face. You talk about education with kids, we should also, as we grow up, continue to educate ourselves, because some people, they tend to, let's say, be finished with school and then that's it. That's where they leave it off. They don't try to learn into new information. They don't try to, sharpen up on what they know. Some people, they're grown and they still don't go vote. I remember during the Trump election, everyone was also making fun of this. Okay, no one wanted Hillary, but then people didn't want Trump either. But then people were so shocked that Trump was actually voting that some people were like, you know what? Since he's, running and he seems like the cool person, he's a business guy, let's go vote for him. But some people didn't actually think that he was going to win, and he did. And it's just like, it's all about this, properly educating ourselves and, making sure that kids are educated. And if we want to educate our kids, we have to be that example first. You feel me?
100%. Appreciate you sharing. Yeah, you're right. A big reason that Trump won in the first place, even though he lost the popular vote, is the fact that a lot of us, people of color, didn't take him seriously. A lot of us just assumed that he wouldn't get to that point. There's no way. It's Trump. He doesn't have any political experience. He's too outlandish. It's not actually going to work. And then come to find out, he won. he won off electoral vote, and he's been our president for the last 4 years. So regardless of what your political belief is or where you stand, if you don't believe in the power of voting, you should probably seek more education and start to believe in that, because it's real, and voting does speak. So we're wrapping up now. We're going to go to our Dev, who's going to be the last speaker before we wrap up. Hi, Becca.
Sure.
Am
I on?
Yep, we can hear you.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for, everything you said today. And I find myself the last couple of weeks and beyond that, just being educated and being educated and being educated. So I appreciate all that tonight, and the realness of everyone, what they shared. There's a couple of things I thought might be of interest to you, and they're very much similar to the things you're talking about. The issue of systemic racism is, from what I was thinking about, is that it means we have to change the system, right? If that's what it's rooted in. And I was thinking about what are the components of the system. And a lot of you have talked about education. So I studied that my whole life. I've worked in education my whole life. I couldn't agree more with that. So I think we should definitely keep going forward with that. But there's a couple other things. There's 3 other things I thought of that have some action steps that I thought maybe if you didn't already know about them, it might be of interest to you to go going forward. So one, as you've all been pointing out, is voting. To mention something that surprised me is in the 2016 election, almost 25% of people voted for Trump. Almost, I think 25 or a little bit more voted for Hillary, and 50% did not vote. So half of the country did not really have a say in who our administration is right now. And for lots of reasons, people don't vote. But that's something for us to think about. This situation, perhaps if you like it, I mean, not necessarily like it, but if you are troubled by it, think about how many people just made that decision for us. So voting does make a difference, even though we feel small, I think, sometimes. But it affects our laws, and laws make up our system. And I heard a quote from Martin Luther King recently. They've been, sharing a lot of stuff that he said. But one of the things that they quoted him saying was that they wanted to have a law that reformed lynching, back in the 60s, that lynching would be illegal. And there was a lot of pushback sometimes from the protesters, like, well, that's not going to change systemic racism. And he said, well, yeah, but it will keep me from being lynched. So there are specific laws that we can put in until we can change the culture of our American experiment, until we can have that shift happen. Then changing laws is the way we move the dial on that. And so on our campus at STU, if you're a member of the STU community, Bacon is our SEEP fellow, which is all about campus campus election engagement and registration and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just about registering people to vote, it's about educating them on what they're voting for, not necessarily convincing them. It's not a party, it's nonpartisan. So SEEP is one way to get involved. And then of course, like I can't remember who pointed it out, but local voting is really significant. I've been reading about that a lot lately too. And the mayors and the chief of police are the ones who decide how the police get educated, trained, graduated, and employed. And that it's different for every community. So here in Miami-Dade, Broward, wherever you're from, the local voting is what's really important if you want the local police situation to change. So that's a specific thing that is something that we would want to take ownership for. So voting's number one. Number two is all the petitions, the movements that you're seeing. That is what puts pressure on political officials. So you've probably, what the movement right now is happening. I don't know if you know, but in my lifetime, this is the most prolonged movement and intense that I've ever experienced in my life, in addition to the March for Your Lives. So that puts pressure and it shifts things a little bit. It doesn't necessarily get it all the way where we want it to be, but it does move the conversation. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was, this is not something I have a specific thing. And then with the movement thing, I wanted to mention 8 Can't Wait. It's a website, 8 Can't Wait, and it has 8 things that mayors and police chiefs could implement pretty much tomorrow if there was enough political will for it. And there are things like 8 things that have statistically been proven to decrease police violence by 70%. So 70% less police violence if mayors and chiefs of police said this is what we require for our department. So you can look that up online, but it's simple things that still keep our police officers safe. They can still do their job, but it doesn't go to the extreme that it has been. So like no chokeholds, fellow officers have to report, and then 6 other things. The last thing, and I appreciate your time, the last thing I learned about when I was in Los Angeles, and if you've heard of Father Greg Boyle, he's a Jesuit priest who works with gang members. And so part of the systemic change problem is that I think some of us have said we learned at home sometimes. We learn at home or in our communities, especially if our communities are homogenous, if they're one kind of person or people. And so Father Greg Boyle had these warring gang members, and he started an organization. They were killing each other. And he started an organization called Homeboy Industries, which gave them jobs. And he made them work side by side. So they had this shared experience. And through that shared experience, he talks about kinship and how kinship developed between them. So you all probably know Miami-Dade and Broward and all these areas here a little bit better than me. I'm from up north a little bit in Brevard County. So you might know where there's opportunities for us to, or we could generate ideas of where we can help build shared experiences across cultural, racial, ethnic lines and things like that. So I hope some of those things are practical for you, that you can get involved. And again, Tamara Bacon is our SEEP fellow. And so for the fall, we definitely want to have a team of people who are helping to educate our student population about all sorts of issues, movements, petitions, things like that. So you can contact me or Bacon, and we will see what we can do starting in the fall or earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Can you send just a little bit about what you're talking about? Because somebody was asking how to get involved with those different things. And Benson had sent to that Florida itself is missing 4 of the different things on A Can't Wait. So if you could just send, like, I sent the A Can't Wait link, but if you can send
Awesome.
other things in the chat.
Sure. And the other place that you can get some information about a variety of things, including mayors and things, you can see if your city where you're from has these 8 things. I think it's the Obama Foundation. So if you go to their website, so I'll put all the sites that I know in the chat, and then I'll put my email too if anybody wants to get involved with the kind of work that Bacon and I are and other people are doing, kind of moving ahead.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Is there anybody else who wants to say anything? Our time is coming up, but there's a lot of people. I think only like a handful of people actually spoke out of 40, 50 people that have been on. This is the last chance. So we're going to start to wrap it up. My concluding comments with this is that last week, me and Jamar were just on the phone and we didn't know that we were going to get this to happen. It's satisfying that I can be able to bring everybody here and give everybody a platform to speak in front of. Right now, let's say we had 50 people, close to 60 participants. What if we can make this a weekly thing and it grows and it becomes more of a movement within itself and we push for the change that we really want? And also, I wanted to make a statement about what we can do moving forward to create change, not just in the country, in the world, but something big. And like injustices when it comes to race, ethnicity, religion has my entire life been something touchy. As like I'm Jewish. My grandparents both survived the Holocaust. My grandma actually the only survivor out of her entire family. She's the only person who walked out. So every time you look through history and you see systematically, no matter where you point on the map, whether it's Nazi Germany, there's a systematic racism. Whether it's America in the 1800s, and even now, systematic racism. You can go to any point in history and there is that problem. And right now, we need every group who has been oppressed, who has been persecuted. We all need to support each other. And a few months ago, I had the privilege to go on a trip with the Black Student Union at my school. I go to Florida State University, and we went on a trip to Montgomery, Alabama. Pretty much we went to the the Museum for Peace and Justice. We went to Martin Luther King's church where he worked, where he did a lot of his work. And we went to a lynching memorial. And a few things like really stuck with me and are going to stick with me forever, for the rest of my life after that trip. You go to the lynching memorial and you really see when people give you numbers, it's different when you really visualize it. So you go to the memorial and you just see a big field with these like pretty much they were just memorials for every Black man who was lynched, and they were all innocent. And just to see that, it personally, to me, it opened my eyes, because being on the trip with the Black Student Union, I was able to connect, and we were able to like connect with one another on how historically our peoples have been murdered. And then we were able to sit down and we were able to talk and we were able to say, okay, moving forward, we have to work side by side, not just Jewish and Black people, Hispanic people, Muslim people, everybody has to support one another. So, Jamar, would you like to say anything?
No, yeah, I agree with what you said. And just to add on to that as well, to the white people that are on this chat, or to the white people that aren't on this chat, or are friends, or whatever the case is, I feel like white voices in movements like these are imperative to the actual movement, because at the end of the day, Black people are supposed to be infuriated. Black people are supposed to want change because we're the party that's being oppressed. White people are, in this case, not the party that's being oppressed. They're the party with the privilege, and the party that in a lot of the cases is doing the oppression. So I feel as though we should encourage, and I encourage any white person that's on this chat, and we should all encourage our white friends to do the same, not to just sit and not to just be comfortable and to not say anything, or just post a Black picture on their Instagram just because it's trendy and just because that's what's popular, but to actually speak up, to actually demand change, to actually go with us to protest and protest with us, to actually sign petitions with us, donate with us, volunteer with us, do things with us. Because if it's just us, we can only do so much. But if it's all of us together, including everyone from white people to every single minorities, if it's all of us going together, I think that we can successfully create change. So I just want to encourage all of you guys again in the chat room. There was just so much
support,
so much being spread, a lot of information. So please be sure to visit the chat room. I think Sagan had asked if you guys can get the recording. I don't really, honestly, Leos can tell you, I don't really know how to use Zoom that much, but I'm going to see what I can do about the recording, probably put it on YouTube or whatever, so everyone can just see it and have it. If this is something that you guys are interested in doing again, you can message us, either of us, whichever of our contact information that you have, for sure. But that if that's something that's interesting, but just to end everything, thank you guys so much for coming on, whether you spoke, whether you listened. I think this was an awesome experience, and don't let it just end here. Don't just have heard the different opinions and the different facts. Be active. We heard Rebecca say that in the last election, the last presidential election, 50% of registered voters didn't vote. So that's one person here saying, oh, my vote doesn't matter. That's one person over here saying it doesn't matter for me to vote. And then that adds up to 50% of all people registered. We also heard her share that the local mayors and the local governors are the ones who decide operations where we live. So they're the ones who decide how our police departments operate, the education requirements for them, whether they have psych evals, all of those things are required based off the local government. So please don't let the conversation end here. Please spread it. Please continue to seek education, and let's be active and let's create change.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much. Everyone have a good night. And like I said, if you're interested in doing this again, please reach out to either one of us and we'll see what we can do.
Let's make a difference.